And welcome back, everyone, to part 3 of What If Deku Went Zanpakuto, the Kyoka Suigestu edition. Last time, Deku made a bit of a jump at Bakugo, who doesn't like him anymore, or any less. Actually, I take it back. He likes him probably a lot less now. Because he now feels like Deku has been completely lying to him all these years. It's completely been trying to make a fool of him. And Deku hasn't been trying to make a fool of him. Bakugo's just been doing that on his own. But that's happened. They won the fight. Deku's fine. All Might's keeping an eye on Deku because he is noticing the potential there, at least in terms of who he like his character as a person, which is really what All Might's looking for more than anything else, is the character of a hero, not necessarily what they can do. Now, will he get one for all? Sorry, 1 second. I don't know what it is. I am extremely tired today. I'm actually going to lay down and take a nap when I'm done with this video. But, to the point, will he get one for all? I'm not going to lie. I don't foresee it here. The Zanpakuto are very hard for me to justify him getting one for all, because he not only has a quirk, he's got most of them, if not all his Zanpakuto, we'll go over when we do these series, are exceptionally powerful, and some are flat out broken, Kyoka Suigestu being one of them. So he actually wouldn't have a lot of trouble becoming a hero. There's none of that, it's like, oh, please answer my question, can I be a hero? You have another quirk. There's none of that, because he's got a power. Hell, it's easier for when he does have certain types of strengths versus when he doesn't. Like, I think when I made him the Chado Lobo, that one I think I did still give him one for all, if I'm not mistaken, I think. But I've also done, or when he had his own personal quirk, it was handed down from his mom and dad. That one I did give him one for all. He had a very weak quirk. So it all depends on how you even it out. With most of the Zanpakuto, at least most of the captain level Zanpakuto, probably not. But regardless, we would catch up now to the USJ. They'd be on their way in the bus. They're all talking about their quirks. And I think it'd be Kirishima who comments to Midoriya, I'm going to try my hardest not to yawn a lot during this, but I can't make any promises. We'll talk to Kirishima says, all I can do is try my skin, but Midoriya, you can literally manipulate minds and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not quite what I do. All I can do is really is control people's 5 senses. But, there's a lot you can do with that if you apply it to, it's just a little bunch of tricks. In a straight fight, you'd get crushed by someone like me. It's like, well, and to which Midoriya, surprisingly, and this is a little bit of the Aizen coming through. Again, we never make them 1-to-1, but a little bit of the traits come through. It's like, well, then I guess I shouldn't go into a straight fight with you, should I? It's like, grrr. So they get there. They're obviously introduced to, again, was it 13? Was that the character's name? Either way. And then the villains obviously attack. And they still get separated. Midoriya is unable to obviously do anything at the time. They get separated. Midoriya gets caught by Asui as they're now on the boat. Mayonnaise throws the balls a little bit to, it's like, take that! Oh, God! And they're keeping this because they don't know what the quirk does. It's like they don't know what our quirks are. Now, think about it. If they were going to try to isolate us and get the advantage on us, they wouldn't have sent Asui here. Sue, call me Sue. They would have sent Sue here because you'd have the advantage here. So you guys know what I can do. As long as someone sees my sword, sees the release of my ability, I can manipulate the 5 senses on a whim. And I can make these sticky balls that can stick to anything. Oh, they don't stick to me though. We're so screwed! It's like, no, we're not. And he pulls out the sword and he kind of just does this shatter, Kyoka Suigestu, and he puts them under illusion. And so, all right, you guys ready for this? Because they work out a plan. It's like, huh? And they see them jump from the ship, and they're somehow almost walking on the water. No, they are walking on. It's like, so it must be one of their quirks walking away. You're not getting away, huh? There's more of them. There must be another one of their quirks. Well, you're not getting away. Hey, get off me! Well, you little brat. It's like, what? You're no little, you son of a... And Midoriya basically made them think that each one of them were just a group of them using the quirk, but they were all just attacking themselves. Which actually makes you realize that Aizen has let's be honest, a weaker version of Shinji's Bankai with his Shikai, because Shinji's Bankai reverses alignments. When I say alignments, I mean if friend becomes foe, foe becomes friend, and you are compelled to attack them. Like, that's the other part about his Bankai. You aggressively go after said individuals. Aizen doesn't have the ability to make you go after people, but he does have the ability to make you think your friends are your foes and vice versa. So even in his Shikai, that's how just busted Kyoka Suigestu really is, that even in Shikai, he has that ability. And so they skate. It's like, that was really good thinking, Midoriya. Yeah. They're probably going to be, I hope they don't kill each other or anything like that. I don't really want that on my conscience. They're bad guys. They'll be fine. And it's even so. And so they end up, getting to land. This is obviously where Nomu and Shigaraki come in, and Deku sees what's going on. Shatter! And Kyoka Suigestu! And Shigaraki says, is that it? You just yell a word and you yell a word and think your sword's going to do anything? No? Well, isn't that just adorable? But because he comes in with his blade to try to save Sue, Nomu, and the Nomu, gets hit by the blade. He still releases the blade, and so he touches Sue, but nothing happens. And then Aizawa, is also shown negating his effect. But beyond that, Nomu tries to smash, Deku. Deku disappears in the dust, because Deku did manage to get the blade. The blade didn't even really pierce Nomu, I imagine. It just kind of, stuck against him. But he disappears. I was like, Nomu, find those little brats and kill them. And Nomu sees Deku and like, what are you doing? Nomu, stop it! As you heard him, Nomu. It's a trick, Nomu. This kid has some sort of illusionary powers. What? It's like, what are you? Wait, what? No, there's another me there. What's going on? And he sees Midoriya there just with his sword, just, casually holding it like this. It's like, you're doing this. I'm gonna kill Gar. No, I swear I'll. And Shigaraki, if Nomu decides to break his skull, Shigaraki's flat out dead. Like, Shigaraki right now would not be able to take a Nomu in a fight. Not even close. Like, in raw power, anyway. Using his quirk, if he just grabbed onto Nomu, sure, he'd kill him. But then again, Nomu has super regeneration capabilities. So maybe, could he regenerate fast enough to survive it? It's a legit question, I suppose. We didn't really see Decay hit anyone with enhanced regeneration. So it's not really known how that would really interact. Oh, excuse me. Because the only ones we know of for a fact that had super regeneration skills were the Nomus. Where that skill came from, we have no idea. I know the Doctor has a quirk that ages him twice as slow, or slow as his aging 2 times as slow as another person, but I don't think it's regeneration. So we don't know where the regeneration quirks came from. Either way, it's like, I swear I'm gonna. And Shigaraki is able to bypass Nomu. It's like, you're done. It's like, sorry, can't let you guys, not really in the mood to be caught by the likes of you. And that's where All Might shows up. Never fear, for I am here. Sorry, let me try that again. Do not fear, for I am here. And him and Nomu do get out to whatever degree, with Midoriya's Zanpakuto still affecting them. Which means Nomu probably gets his ass actually handed to him in this fight. Even Kurogiri wouldn't really be that big of a help. Because, yeah, he does catch All Might off guard, but All Might hasn't given up One for All yet. In fact, he didn't even strain himself against the sludge monster in this version, which means he's still, I think he said his limit was like an hour and a half a day. He could stay All Might 2 or 3 hours. He could look like All Might. So basically, yeah, he should still be fine to take on Nomu at this point. So Nomu gets blasted out, and he's like, you. And it's like, you. And now then. And All Might, unfortunately, is not tired out yet, and Shigaraki can tell. Plus, Shigaraki is deeply confused. And Midoriya still got him under his illusions. Uh, and so Shigaraki, come with me. And I was like, no, like, this isn't over, All Might. And you too, kid. Because he's now glaring at Midoriya. Believe it. Believe it. And so he takes him off. Takes him away. And so everyone's checking in. He's saying, Professor Aizawa, are you okay? I don't feel well. And so he has to go. All Might though looks on. It's like, you did very well. Normally, we wouldn't want you to be dealing with the villains like this, but given the circumstances, you had no choice, so it'll be overlooked. But I must admit, young Midoriya, what exactly did you? I'm aware your quirk controls the senses, but is that what you did to stop the Nomu? Yeah, I made the Nomu think that I was that guy, and that guy was me, and he kind of just went after him every time he said go after him. I was like, I see. Not a bad plan, but what happened? What you have done if you had killed him? And Midoriya does hesitate with it. I would hope it wouldn't come to that, but I'd also hope that guy would be able to be smart enough to get out of the way. Still, I can't blame you. Blame you for that. Well, no worries. If he comes back again, I should be able to handle him, no problem. It's like, well, I don't need you to go looking for trouble. No, that's not what I mean. I mean, they're still under my sword's effects, my quirk's effects. Yeah, so long as I don't release it, you just stay under the effects of the quirk. It's like, what? It's like, yeah, it doesn't really come up very often. I release you guys from the it all the time, like whenever I have to use it. But yeah, if I don't choose to, it's just stays in effect. So if they ever meet again, especially if he becomes a full-fledged hero, he'll still be able to manipulate them without any effort whatsoever. That's a dangerous quirk he has. It's a good thing thank goodness he chooses the path of a hero. Well, good for you, Midoriya. Why now I must be off. And so All Might leaves, and obviously Aizawa comes back in the class, tells them about the sports festival. Shinso basically declares war. Well, no, it's Class 1 Beta declares war on the Class 1A, and obviously Shinso introduces himself. And they get there. Now, Midoriya will not be get to the sports festival. Midoriya would not be allowed his sword in the festival. Well, and there are tools that would be considered like aids to someone like Aoyama's belt. I don't see that being the case here. What I see more likely is that because it's technically deemed a weapon and not a direct part of his quirk, because he can basically use his quirk without his weapon, he is more than capable of. Sorry, I got distracted. I had to plug something in. Because he can use Kyoka Suigestu's abilities in this version without his weapon, and because his weapon isn't directly tied to his quirk, they would probably deem it unusable because it is a weapon. Now, if his sword were directly tied to his quirk in terms of abilities, because we haven't done that yet. We've only done 2 Zanpakutos so far. We've done Kyoranamaru, which is, again, because it's elemental abilities, I can basically justify him not having a sword all the time, because we're looking at it more from the standpoint of a quirk. But if it were something like, say, Nozarashi, which is a giant blade, or Zangetsu, or Zenbon Sakura, those all directly use the blade. And therefore, whenever we get around to that, I can say that his quirk manifested as this sword. That is what I would change with Zanpakuto that actually involved like the manifestation of stuff, or need their blade more effectively. Like Tekken is another one like that. Oh, technically Tekken I can still see not needing the sword because you can still make a fist or something like that. Either way, though, they begin and it's the decathlon. Now, unfortunately, here I don't see Deku. I mean, to be fair, Deku didn't really use his quirk at all in that exam, but Deku's also not in the same shape he was in the exam here. So that's a good question. I mean, I could see him using his quirk to trick some people so they come in last or they don't make it at all. But honestly, this part probably goes. I got off nose here. It's like just tickling the hell out of my nose, and it's so annoying. But honestly, I I don't really see it going any different. I think he can still make the #1 spot, pissing off Bakugo even more. Now, with the Cavalry match, that's a different story. If anything, he can pretty much just hide using his quirk. He pretty much just goes shatter Kyoka Suigestu. And when he basically goes to put the headband on, everyone who's looking at him, guys, close your eyes. Kyoka Suigestu. Everyone's looking at him, and so he whispers it, and so everyone's under the effects. So they'll see the bandana somewhere, the headband somewhere else on his body. Like I imagine every one of them is seeing it somewhere else. Keep in mind that if someone who's got, like, say, a visual quirk, or in this case, like a dojutsu of some kind, that could maybe see through illusions, or someone who's blind, or someone who's just got some sort of extrasensory quirk, were to try to see through Midoriya's illusions, they probably could when he's not using his sword. Remember, I'm saying he's about half as strong without his sword. But if I remember correctly, no one has any extrasensory capabilities or quirks except for May, who's just got that zoom quirk. That's not really extrasensory, that's just a zoom quirk. So, yeah, there's no one available who'd really be, at least as far as I can remember, maybe I'm wrong, who'd really be able to see the difference. So when Ida goes for that headband, he'd fail to get that headband because Midoriya basically has been hiding it the whole time. Or Ida might be the one, because Ida is also very smart, to figure it out. It's like, no, it's not there. And he's been watching Midoriya for a little bit, and maybe he is in fact the one to grab the headband for where it actually is. Like, he figured it out. It's like, yes, your illusions won't work as long as there's logic behind them, which Midoriya doesn't tell him about. Like, yeah, I'm only about half as strong right now with him. And so we'd still get Tokiyama basically saving their asses with using Dark Shadow to grab, I think, the 50 pointer headband. And this leads to the first round with Shinso. Now, remember, All Might may take a bit of an interest in Midoriya, but Midoriya's not his #1. And if I'm going to be honest, probably he likes Midoriya, but he's not trying to recruit him to be the next successor. And so I don't even think that Endeavor gets in Midoriya's face, really. So Midoriya just whispers. Actually, that was the other thing, too. He does it with his quirk. Without his Zanpakuto, he doesn't need to say the release command, but that's because it's weaker. So it is a trade-off kind of thing. So he just kind of reveals that he is under that. Well, it doesn't reveal to Shinso he's under the effects of Kyoka Suigestu, but he just kind of is. Like, he makes a bit of a hand says, like, so I'm guessing I'm under the effects of your quirk now. Is that right, Midoriya? And so Midoriya tricks him into thinking that he answered, and he fakes being under mind control because he figured it out from I cannot never remember Tail Guy's name, unfortunately, because he's just so plain darn ordinary. But yeah, and so he starts to realize, like, unfortunately, as long as you had to respond, even if I am under your illusions, it doesn't matter so long as you answer my questions or respond to me. And so he's under illusions, and then Midoriya comes and just kind of clocks him. Ah! It's like, whoa! It's like, what? No. It's like, you, and then just pushes out a ring. So that would go fine. Him versus Shoto? Oh! See, even with this is actually one of the problems in a less superpowered world. Like, whenever Naruto gets around to having Kyoka Suigestu, it's going to be powerful because he's a ninja. He has chakra and capabilities beyond that of a normal human. Midoriya doesn't have things like Shunpo or Kido or the ability to stand on the air. And I've heard someone say that maybe he could unlock those abilities. That's not what we're doing with it. He just has the sword. his illusionary capabilities don't really matter to Shoto because he can literally AoE the entire ring if he really needs to. Midoriya was literally able countering his ice with sheer power to break it up. But if Shoto really wants to, he can freeze the entire ring. Midoriya can try, and he's doing his best to evade, but he gets caught at one point. Or at least he tries to think he's gotten caught, but Shoto's like, I'm not falling for that, and just kind of like throws waves of cold. Eventually, Midoriya does get rid of it. I told you, you can't hide from me, Midoriya. And so it's over. Surrender. And Midoriya does actually smile. Sorry, not. And just appears. What, again? And this time he does kind of crack Shoto in the face, but it's not enough. Like, if he could take a shot from Midoriya using One for All, he can take a crack to the face. Come on. Midoriya, it does trick it, and he does disappear again. It's like, I'm sorry, Midoriya, but I don't have time for this. And unfortunately for Shoto, he wins. And what I mean by unfortunately for Shoto is Midoriya doesn't even... See, this isn't one of those fights where Midoriya can push him to use all his fire. Like, maybe he could. But because he doesn't even have Endeavor coming after him, I don't see Midoriya really trying to save him in this version, which means Shoto is still up his own ass about it. Which also means that Shoto still wins. And unlike before, Shoto, I think, does win the #1 spot because Bakugo, quite frankly, won because Shoto just didn't want to fight. Like, even with his ice. Now, granted, Bakugo was able to get through his ice without too much difficulty, but Shoto's drive at that point was kind of shattered. So, not shattered, but his whole, why am I doing this, just came up and was just flaring like mad. So, apart from the fact he didn't want to use his fire, he kind of just didn't care about the fight at that point. And so ultimately Bakugo, he beat Bakugo in this version because he actually is trying to prove that to himself. And on a sheer power scale, Bakugo, he could blast through the ice as best he could, but Shoto can just fire more ice. And it would take Bakugo forever to get through that. So ultimately Shoto would win this. Oh, excuse me. Now then, we would catch up to the start of the Hero Killer arc, and I imagine Deku's chosen hero name is probably Kyoka Suigestu. Like, his Zanpakuto name being his hero name, I think makes a lot of sense, frankly. But the question is, who does he do his work? I can't remember if it's the internship first or it's the work study, because the internship comes later, if I'm not mistaken. But who does he do it with? It wouldn't be Gran Torino. And I think there would be a lot of heroes that would actually be interested in something like Midoriya's quirk. So of the pro heroes that we know of, who would probably benefit the most, or think they benefit the most for taking Midoriya? I didn't actually think about this part, but it's a good question. Because we don't actually see a lot of heroes that use, like, illusions or anything like that. So who would it be? Trying to think of all the heroes. It wouldn't be Mirko. In fact, Mirko actually, in a spin-off comic, is revealed to not like Deku very much. It wouldn't be Mount Lady. It wouldn't be Night Eye, or is it Night Eye? Why am I forgetting? Midnight. Sorry, Midnight. Wouldn't be Aizawa. He's not doing a work study, but maybe I could see, like, Genus maybe doing a work study with him. I don't know. I think we'll leave it here for right now because I am racking my brains, and I'd like to maybe get your input on that. Who do you think would you choose? Because, again, he's got a really interesting and useful ability. So I actually think there would be heroes that would want to actually take him under their wing. So who do you think would take Midoriya under their wing for the work study? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Later.